Good evening, students. This is Professor Estrada, and welcome to American Literature Online, English 2328, Section 80. And this will be my way of having a video lecture for you, for those of you that do better with lectures that you can see visually how I got to a certain area in the class, or considering if we were in class, this is how I would present the information. So starting off, what I would like to do is begin on the home page of Brightspace. Correctly in the class, if you are in this class, you would automatically see the banner. It just tells you that this is American Literature, the second section, and it's an online class. So this is how you know that you are the first step in the right direction. So on the left side tab, I'm going to always have announcements. This is where you'll see recaps of things that we do online, important due dates, any extra credit opportunities, anything of that sort. I am recording this on March 20th, and class doesn't begin until March 23rd, so I am a couple of days early. And if you are watching this in real time, thank you for doing so. I just posted this announcement saying that you are more than welcome to begin the class. And as always, you're always welcome to kind of view anything that goes on. I tend to write out a little bit more than extra, but this is just me saying this in a descriptive way so that there's no confusion. Feel free to go by and look at this at any time. As we go into the class, there's going to be more and more announcements to come. On the right side tab, I have my info right here. This is the class. It's 100% online. No textbook required. Anything that you could possibly need for the class will be posted in Brightspace. So we have a work to do module that I wanted to look at real quick, and a calendar. While the work to do always post what you are requiring to do for whether that week or the upcoming week, I will say this, that always be mindful of the due dates. In this class, as you will read within the announcements, is that we are considered, or I designed the class to be weekly. So we open up the online folder of the week, which is week 1, Monday morning, 8 o'clock, and it will run through a Sunday night at midnight. So you have that entire week to complete that work. However, I am also an instructor that allows late work. After Sunday night at 11:59, if it's not submitted, that's okay. You can always turn it in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, up to that 4th day. But each day that something is not submitted after its due date, I just deduct 25 points. So this is what I wanted to say about that. So while this may say a due date that's not listed, it's probably going to list the 4th day that you still have up until you can complete it. After that, the assignments per that week after the 4th day won't be able to be visible. You are always welcome to go back in and look at the videos, the lectures, the resources, the links, but not the assignments. This is just, for example, if we're in week 6 and you're trying to do something from week 1, it would obviously be not visible to do. So the same way with the calendar, while these go hand in hand, they're really easy to access. Be mindful of the due dates, whether in the folder or in the syllabus. So it just says upcoming events. Like I said, these things are already posted for you, so that way you can have them. Okay, so one of the things that I will go into is your banner for this may look a little different, but one thing that I will say is to consider always clicking on the content folder. This content folder or the banner link will directly take you to the class and its contents. So I automatically have these modules set up, and you have to click on the modules to direct you to what is required of you for that week, or lectures or anything like that. You have to click on the modules and they open up. So it says, welcome to the class. Here in a few days, you'll have just a simple maybe minute video on I'm going to introduce myself, and you'll be able to see my face and a little bit of what the course is. Here in this course syllabus and schedule module, I have the course as you can find it in simple syllabus, but it's also right here as a link. So if I click on it, it'll open up right here. When you open up these modules on the left side tab, the right side tab will tell you what is to be found. So it just says that if I click on this, the syllabus will be right here, but also the course calendar as a PDF. So if you ever want to know what's going on, just specifically that, taking away from the syllabus and all its content. This is just the course calendar that we go by. It tells you my in-person office hours as well. It has my email. It has all this good stuff, but it tells you at a glance what we go through. So even just looking at this, we will automatically dive into Unit 1, which is the Realism and Naturalism period of American Literature, Section 2. We go through that period. We end up looking at the modernism period, going into that, and then we go into the contemporary period. So at a glance, we are an 8-week course, so it does go by a little bit rapidly, but take your time with this. That's exactly what the course is about. Take your time within the due dates themselves. While it looks like a lot, I'm not trying to overwhelm you, but I do try to post in the way that is easy for everyone to access. So right here, you can always look at this. If you want to download it, it's as a PDF. You're more than welcome to. If we were in class, I would be giving out handouts. I also have the late pass policy, like I said before, in a couple of minutes before, that you can turn in things late up to 4 days. But what I also want to consider is sometimes you don't want it to be deducted, but you would consider an extension without the deduction. So not only do I allow students to turn in stuff late up to 4 days, within the day that it's due, you can always consider a late pass or an extension. And you can read all about it right here. It just tells you that for a specific assignment leading up to the last week, which is the final exam and the essay, that you can turn in something not late, but with an extension, or what I would say a late pass. This just gives you a breathing time of up to 48 hours or 2 days to turn in something late without it even being counted late at all. So it's just my fancy way of saying, hey, I won't count it late, but you have up to 48 hours because you reached out to me. And so I even give you an example right here. It just says that it can be used on anything, and you get 2 of them for anything. But before 10 o'clock that something is due, whether it's in a discussion board, a quiz, a writing assignment, the day that it's due by 10 o'clock, reach out to me. And I record that in my notes, and I give you a confirmation email saying that I received it. And you have breathing room up to 48 hours to turn in that assignment without anything being late. I have an example email right here. You're more than welcome to use that as you see fit. And it just says that it gives you up to 48 hours before I even consider it late. So let's just say that something is due Sunday night, the introduction, the icebreaker discussion board, or the first discussion board over Walt Whitman, and you forget it or you don't have enough time. I get it. Life happens, and you want to make sure that it's completed thoroughly. So let's just say that you needed it, but you know that you won't complete it on time. Reach out to me before 10 o'clock. Send me an email. You can send an email this way through Brightspace, or even through your student account, and just let me know, Miss Estrada, I'm going to use my first late pass on one of the first assignments. I'll give you a couple of minutes, and then you should receive an email back from me that night before 10 p.m. letting you know that I received that and that you have now 2 extra days before I even look at it or consider it late. Okay? So that's just what the late pass policy is. Every teacher is different according to late work, no late work, or even extensions. This is just my thing that I have in my class. Okay? So right now, as you should see, that this is now accessible to you, the week 1 part 1 folder and the week 1 part 2 folder. And just like I said in my announcements, this is as if we were meeting twice a week. So if we met Monday morning, you would see week 1 part 1. If we also met Wednesday, you would see week 1 part 2. But because this is an online class, I'm also going to make sure that you see all of this simultaneously. So you'll be able to see all of week 1 and all of its components, everything accessible to you right then and there. So now I'm going to open up the week 1 part 1 folder so that you can see it. But I'm also going to go into further explanation of what's week 1 folder part 2, so that way you have it. And just like I said before, if we were in class, I would be going through this as well. So when you click on that module, it opens up to this, or it should open up to this, so that you have it. It tells you to go back in one by one in exactly the order that I have it, so that it's easier for you to do so. And you should have this. So you should be able to view the lecture slides, and that's the first thing right here. The video lecture whenever it becomes available. The discussion board, so there's a discussion board for you to get to know each other. We're going to be looking at the biography of Walt Whitman. There's a writing submission for Walt Whitman. We're going to be looking at A Song of Myself. Note that you're only supposed to read the first stanzas. A Song of Myself, the text. Oh, listen to A Song of Myself. So listen to it, sorry. It'll begin, but then you can end yourself at the 4:38 mark. You're going to read I Hear America Singing, so another Walt Whitman. So we're going to go into each week looking at spotlight authors. And so this section, week 1, part 1, is just Walt Whitman. So you're going to be reading a lot about him. I Hear America Singing, the text and the audio. Calvary Crossing a Ford, text and audio. And so if it says right here, read or listen, it's just telling you if it's available as an audio. I try to incorporate that so that way some people who are audio learners, this is easier for you. If you're a text learner, this is also for you as well. We also have, after you read all of these, to complete a discussion board. Discussion board, technically number 1, which is about Walt Whitman. And I'll go into it thoroughly so that way you see it. And I also included a word count link. This is just a simple tool to count your words if your discussion board will ask of you. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. But notice right here that all of the following things to complete, you have until Sunday, March 29th at 11:59. So like I said, the class runs from a Monday morning at 8 a.m. to a Sunday night at 59 p.m. Sorry. This just shows you that you have the entire week to complete everything in the week 1, part 1 and part 2 folder. So you can take your time with it. So things to do in this section would be the icebreaker discussion board, the Walt Whitman writing submission, and the discussion board number 1, dear Walt Whitman. And so right here, I want to reiterate. So it says that it's due Sunday, March 29th. But the calendar on the homepage, just like I was talking about, I was clicking on it earlier, may state maybe a different day. It just is going to state possibly up to the 4th day that you can turn in something later than the due date. So not to be confused with anything else, it also just says that each day after the due date, you can turn it in, but with 25 points deduction. So as you see right here, this should reflect what I'm going to pull down. So the lecture slides, the icebreaker discussion board, the biography video of Walt Whitman, the Walt Whitman writing assignment, A Song of Myself, the text and the audio, I Hear America Singing, the text, primarily will be focused on, and then the audio if I can find it, Calvary Crossing a Ford, and the audio. There's also the Walt Whitman discussion board and the word count link. So let's go into those real quick. So right here, I have my lecture site, so you do have to click on it. And my lecture sites are PowerPoint PDFs, as if I would be presenting them in class. And so it has right here the section and video and, PowerPoint lectures as if I would be giving them. So it just tells you the course catalog description of the class as if I were to present it in a classroom, the core objectives of the class, and the objectives for the week. And then we have the introduction, review of the syllabus, navigation of the Hill College email, and introduction of the week 1 folder. I also have right here navigation of the components, just like I've shown you in the video at the beginning, how you would get into the class and how to find this class. And then my email communication, just a little bit about that. Preferably, if you can, stick to your Hill College email. Sometimes that spam gets in the way with Yahoo, Hotmail, or others, and it's hard for me to go through these. I'm so sorry for that interruption. If you're seeing that, my niece came in and she was disregarding that I was recording this video. Continuation of this lecture is that I won't respond to anything outside of server emails, but I also, if you can, please consider sending me an email with your course as a subject line. I deeply apologize for the interruption. My niece is running around and they're forgetting that I was recording this video for y'all, but I will continue and resume and hope that there's no more interruptions. But like I said, I won't respond without a proper subject line. The only reason for that is I teach multiple classes all at once. So while I may be teaching this class online, I also may be teaching this class in person, as well as any 1301 or 1302 classes. So If there's also students that have the same first name, it's kind of hard for me to go back in, look at the class lecture or a question, and make sure that I respond appropriately. So if you can, especially with my online classes, preferably just let me know what's going on and I will try to look at that. But if you can, in the subject line, I would greatly appreciate it if you can continue with a subject line with your course section. So this is the week 1, day 1 folder, just like I explained it within the video itself. This has the lecture slides and exactly how the course module should list it. I have it listed right here, just in case you were looking at the video lecture first and then you go into the course module. So all of this, Walt Whitman as our spotlight author, his writing assignment, the lecture slides, the poems, text and audio, but also the discussion board and the word count link. Don't worry, I will open these up so that way you can look at these, so that way we can take our time with those. And notice that the video says that the online content is also due March 29th. Okay, I'm clicking my escape button so that way you see it. So let's look at the icebreaker discussion board real quick, so that way you can see if you're on the right track. So the icebreaker discussion board is just an online forum. And in this discussion board, it's going to ask you specific questions. So this one specifically is going to say to answer at least 3 of these questions, just so that we get to know each other. If we were in class, I would spend some time asking questions, getting to know everybody one by one, and also going over the syllabus. But with this, I would like you to consider the idea that if we're not doing that, I would love to hear back from you. And it just says the same due date as a week 1. So to start a new thread, if you're seeing this live, you can type any title. You can type in discussion board 1. This one's actually called icebreaker discussion board, so you're more than welcome to do that. And just type. You are more than welcome to always copy and paste the questions, list them as 1, 2, 3, or a list or bullet form. You can do it in any font or color as long as it's legible to me. And then when you're done, simply put post. And notice that this is a discussion board, so you get the whole entire week to complete this. So it is okay that you may not see anything Wednesday or Thursday and everything starts trickling in over the weekend. Just make sure that your response and your replies are done within the due date. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that one so that way you saw it. You're able to see it. And there's some really good questions in there. Let me go back real quick so that we can look at that. Sorry. You had some really good questions in here. What's a word that people use to describe you? What would be your ideal superpower? And then one of my last ones is if you can give any advice to a student for the academic year, the semester, what would that be? Okay, and you can pick from any of these 3. And you don't have to reply to people. Oftentimes, my discussion boards will require of you to reply to people and then within a specific word count. But this was just simply asking you to get to know each other. Okay. We also have the Walt Whitman biography. So it's a video. So you do have to click on the video and it opens up. After watching the video biography and or the text themselves with the audio, I would like us to go in and complete this writing assignment. So this one is in the form of a module like this, and it's just asking you to answer these questions. If it requires you to submit something with the Word document instructions would have already been embedded, and you would just complete them like that. But these can be written as a text box, if it allows a text box, or even a Word document. So you are more than welcome to maneuver and submit as you see fit. And these are just questions that I would like you to answer. There's a couple of them over Walt Whitman, particularly the video, and then there may be some regarding the text in question. And then it has the same due date as if it was a week 1 assignment. Okay. Then we have our readings, Song of Myself, the audio, I Hear America Singing. My niece and my nephew are in the background, so if you do hear that, I do apologize. I Hear America Singing, text and audio, and then Calvary Crossing of Ford. So for you to access the text or the audio, you do have to click on the links and the browser should open up automatically. Okay. I also have our first discussion board. Our first discussion board, technically, after the icebreaker, is about Walt Whitman. So this one is saying that after you read this stanza and then you consider the biography and the text readings for this section, I would like you to answer the following as well. So it does tell you step by step. So these are the questions that I would like you to answer right here. And then it also tells you to respond to people. So as soon as you see other people within the forum, click on anybody and respond to them. If it tells you to respond to them within a specific word count, that's also what I'm going to be considering. If you would like to know how to reply to people, I also considered some examples right here. So just like I said, I'm going to open up the thread. You can type any title that you want. You can even type it as discussion board number 1 or DBs as you would see in the syllabus. And you can list. So this is just in real time. You're being able to see this. So if you just want to copy and paste the questions, list them, bullet form, ABC 1, 2, 3, however, or just answer them as is, you're more than welcome to. And then respond to people. Once you see people in the forum, you're more than welcome to reply to them. I'm going to click post so that way you see it. But then one thing that I will ask you to consider is this word count link. This right here ideally helps a lot of people when it comes to counting their words. This will help you out with you considering to make your word requirement if the discussion board asks of that, but also to reply to people. So if it's asking for about 300 words, you're more than welcome to type it in here and then copy and paste that into your discussion reply. Notice that it considers and counts the words or the characters. Mind you, please consider the fact that this doesn't automatically save. So if you begin your discussion board in the forum, you're more than welcome to copy and paste in here just so that you can count your words. Other people have found other ways to do so. They have started in a Microsoft Word document or Google Doc. They'll paste it wherever they need to. It'll count their words and then go back in and put it in the online forum. I wouldn't want you to type up such an incredible post and then it not be saved anywhere. But this is also a really good way just to count the words, and this resource will always be right here. Okay. So then we also have in this video, as we continue, the week 1 part 2 folder. And so at a glance, we're just looking at these things. And this is what you will see in this folder. You'll see the week 1, day 2 lecture slides. And we're going to begin with some poets and essayists of the time. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, reading his poem and looking at it, The Tide Rises, the Tide Falls. My Lost Youth, also by the same person. Nature by Thoreau. Let Us Consider by Thoreau. The Boston Hymn and Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So we're going to be looking at some big-time authors in this week. We also have another discussion board called Understanding Major Works, and I'll open that up and look at those questions with you. We also have our first quiz only over these authors, their works, and Walt Whitman, who's also in the week 1 folder. Then I also have the word count link just as you've seen before, so it helps you count words. Notice that this is still in the week 1 content, Sunday, March 29th. The calendar, the to-do list may put the 4th day after the due date, so always be mindful and wary of that. Then it also says, just to kind of give you a glance, I am able to scroll this down, so it tells you all these upcoming things. Going into week 2, there'll be an online exam. And because this class goes by rapidly, always consider the due date. So the Unit 1 exam will open up April 5th and will close April 12th. Okay, and then it just tells you what to be considerate of whenever you look at these things. It covers week 1 through week 2, part 2. Okay, and it'll be placed in the week 2, part 2 folder. And just to kind of give you a heads up. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the week 1, day 2 lecture slides, looking over these elements of these authors and the discussion board in quiz 1. Okay, so let's dive into the week 1, day 2 lectures. It's okay. Just like I said before, I have lectures, so that way if we were in class, you would also be looking at the same thing. So it also tells you the section, it tells you that it's an online class, and the objectives for week 1, day 2, or section 2. Okay, so we have a recap of the week 1 content and due dates, a late pass reminder if you haven't looked at that before, the online folder content, and a lecture on American literature timeline and key points. Okay, so we have the recap from week 1, day 1, all the things that have been listed for you. including its due date, so you have everything just as you would see in the week 1 part 1 folder. We also have the late work and late pass reminder. It's just letting you know that up until then, after that, you are more than welcome to submit a late pass by 10 p.m. on the day that something is due. And then for late work, you can always turn in stuff even up to the 4th day late. I just deduct points. And this just goes into detail about that. You're more than welcome to review it at your own time. At a glance, this is in the week 1, day 2 online folder. So everything that I just gone over, it's as if you were reading this for the first time and it's just easier for you to look at that. It's in here. All the good stuff. Okay. So this is a course focus, and it's our first video lecture that that hones in on what American literature the second section is. So this is just a glance. I'm not going to read all of these, but it's just showing you what also is stated within the syllabus. We're going to be identifying American literature by journals, diaries, essays, prose, fiction, and poetry. We're going to be looking at it from the Civil War to the present, of who these authors were, the movements that made them significant, and everything else as an outcome and contribution from it. As we begin with some of the early writers of America and reviewing, just like I said, their contributions, we also look at the movements of that time. So we do cover the realism, naturalism period, the modernism period, and the contemporary period. So authors, writers, and poets will be introduced within each unit along with what they wrote, whether it be essays, poems, short stories, speeches, or political works, to show their significance during that time. Our focus generally in this class is to look at a deeper understanding and have class discussions, whether online or in person, and view these as a whole. Okay? You're not only going to be looking at the reading itself, but another way to interpret it. How do you look at this, and why is it significant? Okay? So why study American literature? American literature refers to the body of written literary works produced in the United States during this time. We look at cultural, social, historical development. We look at identity, race, class, gender, and the American dream. Early forms of American literature laid the foundation for a literary tradition that would evolve over centuries. As the United States continued to grow and change, so did its literature, reflecting the diverse voices, cultures, and experiences of the people who lived during that time. Okay? Look at my lovely page. Okay? So this is our American literature timeline. So I also teach American literature's first section. So if you went from that section to this section, this is where we would be. During that section, during the first section, I covered the colonial period, the Romantic period, and the Transcendentalism period. So this is the second section, so we begin here. The realism, naturalism period. We're going to cover the modernism period. And we do speak of the Harlem Renaissance, one of my favorite periods, and the contemporary period. So we cover, in my little arrow, we cover from here down. So the Civil War to the present. But I also teach American literature first section if you ever want to be interested in looking at that one as well. Okay. So for this timeline, as an in-depth look, just like I said, that is just a little arrow that shows you where we're at. So you can always go back and kind of look at these at a glance of what these specific sections and movements are, these periods. But we begin here with the realism and naturalism period. So in the late 19th century, American literature shifted towards realism and naturalism, which aimed to portray everyday life in the harsh realities of society. And so we do spend a couple of weeks within this period. We look at the authors and their contributions and the outstanding factors of this time. And then we go into the Harlem Renaissance, the modernism period, and the contemporary period. And so it just has a little arrow that says we begin here. Kind of like this is where we're at. Okay? So in American literature, the overall themes and key points that we're going to be looking at throughout the whole thing would be identity, freedom and independence, the American dream, nature and the environment, and social injustice and inequality. So consider the movements up until this time. Civil War, everything going on, movements, political changes, everything moving upward, technology, going from a rural area to an urban area, everything that has to do with the shift of the political, the spiritual, the governmental. It's astounding to see that some of these writings kept with that time, or even reflected on past to reflect as a compare and contrast. So we look at continuation of these key points. And as you read Walt Whitman and some of the essayists like Emerson, Thoreau, and Longfellow, I want you to consider what they're writing during this time. Do they consider family and relationships, the coming of age, war and conflict, spirituality and religion, or the American West? And these are just key points. To not prolong the video, feel free to go in depth and look at these and what I've written in the pages. And then my last page, it says, reviewing these themes, be sure to look at the reading all the works and consider how these were structured with those elements of that time. The Tide Rises and the Tide Falls, My Lost Youth, Nature, Let Us Consider, The Boston Hymn, and Self-Reliance. Okay, I'm pushing the escape button so that way you can see it. And so you look at these authors. So as a PDF, I have the poem right here, The Tide Rises, The Tide Falls. Some of these are selected stanzas, and some of these are the whole entire work. And if I can, I included the audio just so that it's easier for you. My Lost Youth as a PDF, and it's audio. Oh Nature by Thoreau, and it's audio. You have to click on the audio link for it to open. Some of these are not automatic. Let Us Consider as an essay. The Boston Hymn as a poem. Some of these only cover the text, not the audio itself. Self-Reliance as an essay by Emerson and his audio. And then we have our discussion board number 2, Understanding Major Works. And this one says, after you read all of those following text, I would like you to choose 3 of your choosing for this entry. And you're just simply for these writing summaries of what you've read. You get to pick 3 out of the 6 and just write simple summaries of what you took from them. So choose any of the 3. Choose any 3 of the 6, sorry. Choose any 3 of the 6 poems or readings or essays, what have you. And I want you to summarize them. So it just says, write your own post. All summaries will be one post. You can put a space, you can list them, you can bullet, you can number, you can go and buy author if you would like to. And I would like you to consider the following. Explain the summary of your option reading for number 1, explain it for number 2, and explain it for number 3. So you're just giving me summaries for any 3 of the 6. And if you are confused as to how you would go about writing a summary, whether you need a simple sentence to get you started, I also considered some of the following questions. What is the text about in your own words? What do you think the author, the poet, or the writer is trying to emphasize? What do you think the overall theme is? What work was most interesting and why? What work was least interesting? What made it dull? What illustration or image comes to mind? And do you think this author truly incorporates a certain style of American literature writing? So again, your summaries will be one post. What you choose to write as the summary responses is entirely your own. These are just some really good, excellent questions to consider if you don't know how else to write a summary. You don't have to answer all of them in all the summaries. If they're just helpful, consider maybe answering 1 or 2 questions per summary so that it helps you fill in each reading summary. So all of your summaries will be one post. So if it's easier for you, it says right here that each summary should be at least 100 words. So there should at least be 300 words total. Okay. So option reading summary 1, 100 words. Option reading number 2, 100 words. So that way you get that. You are always welcome to go above your word count. Sometimes it may cost you if you barely meet the word count. So here I am asking you to be challenged in your writing. Okay. So it also says to make sure that you complete that. Your max, sorry, not max. Your minimum should be at least 300 words. I do apologize. I'll go back and change that. Your minimum should obviously be at least 300 words. Okay. The next step should be to respond to students. Make sure that you respond to students. Again, just like I said before, if you wait until Wednesday or Thursday and you're barely seeing any momentum, just make sure that yours is complete along with your replies. You can pick anybody in the course. It can be anybody that responds early if this is you, if this falls into that category, or people at the very end. And and respond to them. Okay, make sure that your response to them is at least 100 words. So 2 to 3 students and 100-word response to each student. And if you have not considered how to respond to them, I have some samples right here. Hey, so-and-so, I like that you bring up this certain thing. I think it's nice to hear about that certain thing. And these are just sample things. I also included right here the due date. It just says to be wary of the calendar on the homepage because sometimes it just tells you the extra due dates that are given. And just like you're seeing this in real time, I'm going to put a subject. It can be DB2 if you would like it to be. It can be whatever your title would like. And just like I said before, if you're seeing this in real time, you're just seeing that I'm the only one that has posted. So you can copy and paste all of these questions and answer them. But as summaries, it'd be easier for you to just copy and paste all of these and just push enter and just right below them. If that's easier for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know what I did. And then just post. Okay? And just post. Okay? And so this is quiz 1. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to exit that before, I don't know. I'm going to cancel that. Leave. Sorry. It may not appear. Okay. So this is also quiz 1. Okay, I'm not going to show you the questions just yet, but it's just showing you a little sample of what's to be expected. This is a true quiz format. If we were in class, you would be given a couple minutes to complete these, but because you're online, I'm giving you a couple of extra minutes. And these are over quiz 1 works, true to quiz style. It's only about 4 to 5 questions long. You get a time limit of 60 minutes and you get 2 attempts. Okay. And it just tells you the calendar due date and be mindful of that. Okay. And there's also the word count link. This is going to appear in all the modules and folders in case you need it. It just tells you to count the words if you need to for your assignment. So this is just a simple video lecture. I hope this is helpful to any one of you. What I would do as a suggestion is to make use of my time and look at the modules as I see fit. So as the course calendar was available to me, I would like to go over that. But also because simple syllabus will allow you to view the syllabus as a whole, be sure to look at that. Take your time with it. It tells you the methods of instruction of how the class is categorized. We're looking at the weighted percentages of all the things, participation, attendance, submitted work, discussion boards, the essay, and the annotated bibliography at the very end of the course. Peer review, the unit exams, and the final exam. It tells you the percentage of grade determination over the course grade. It tells you the attendance policy for this class. It tells you why we use Microsoft Word or the submission of things, how you would respond and when to email, the class etiquette. The submissions of all writing assignments are going to go through Brightspace, but this just goes in depth with it. The academic integrity policy for the course, the use of AI and what happens within that realm, the student code of conduct, Title X and accommodations, disability services, and the course outline. This course outline is exactly what you would see in the PDF file, so you're more than welcome to look at that at a glance. They're just there. And just like I said, if I open it up early, it's just for your benefit. And all the way down, as you see this, it shows you the critical dates to consider as the class progresses. It tells you when everything is due in bold. It also tells you to have computer access. And I might pull away from optional video conferencing so that way you have that, but you'll always see it. Peer review, we do that in class online. And then the option of the policy and the availability of seeing the late pass and late work policy. Okay. And at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Like I've said before in the announcements, I'm here to help you. I'm here to reach out to you. But take your time with this class and welcome to week 1.